Okay, welcome to our masterclass, how to develop correct leadership attributes with mastermind advantage. And the purpose is to unlock our entrepreneurial spirit. My name is D.A. Smith, lead coach, Eagle Dynamics, and we're going to have a wonderful evening looking at something which are of importance. But before we get into that, I would like if we just listen to a brief little introduction by Bob Proctor.
Hello there and welcome. I'm Bob Proctor. Do you know, over the next few minutes, you are going to have some absolutely incredible information shared with you. Do you know, I could go back many years, 55 years ago. I was one lost soul. I was sitting in a fire hall in the suburb of Toronto, and a man gave me this book, and he said, if you do exactly what I tell you, you can have anything you want. Well, I didn't believe that, but I believed he believed it. And so I thought, I'm going to do exactly what he says. I have never looked back. I have earned millions of dollars. I've had an absolutely phenomenal life, and it just keeps getting better. I have no intentions of slowing down. I'll be 82 here in a day or two, and it just keeps getting better. I got the energy of somebody that's 32. And you know, what you're going to hear over the next few minutes is the essence of everything that I've studied over the past 50 years. Listen really carefully to what they're going to explain to you over the next few minutes. And if you're wise, if you've got your ear to the ground, you're going to see how your results will change dramatically. How you can multiply your income, you can improve your relationships, and you can live in a healthy body. I have studied for a long time. These people have got the answers for you. Listen carefully to them.
Okay, as you know, Bob has passed a couple of years ago. He was 87, but however, the Proctor Gallagher Institute still continues, and its vision is to improve the quality of life globally by elevating the quality of thoughts individually. They do this by educating and empowering audience through product, services, events that expand awareness and harmonize people with the natural, immutable laws of the universe. And we're going to expose you to them, not in detail, but so you know. And we intend to play a significant role in creating a world in which true wealth, spiritual, material, and intellectual, flows to, through, and from every person in an ever expanding, never ending cycle of abundance. So I found an organization, Eagle Dynamics, and we are presently in a series, Quantum Leap, Momentum. So at Eagle, we work as a team to help our clients to change their thinking, to get better results in their life. Yes, we know that life can be frustrating and things are not working out how we may want them to be. What we need to understand is what was, and what is up to you. However, once you make the decision to invest in yourself, we are here to help guide you to achieve your most ambitious dreams and goals. To do this, however, as Bob Proctor often said, and which he mentioned in that clip, do exactly what we tell you to do, as this method has helped millions of people all over the world. So this specific masterclass is dealing with leadership and the mastermind advantage. So today at our mastermind, we're diving into how to develop the leadership attributes, and we look at the principles of what we call masterminding to achieve success. Too often we collect knowledge like trophies, only to let it sit on the shelves. So we are talking about mindset, feelings, and action. And the key takeaway that we would like to that you have today is to examine how changing your thinking, beware of your 6 higher mental faculties, how to identify some limiting belief and change your mindset. And also to elaborate on the benefits of our present 8-week course on creating a winner's image, which we are presently doing every Saturday. And also how to invest in yourself with thinking into result, our signature program. And we'll explain this a little bit later. However, now, this is your journey. Many times people think the journey is going to be a straight road, but there are times where they're going to be winding roads. All right? Bob often says, change is inevitable. That is going to take place. Small changes, sometimes large, sometimes 1 step forward, 2 steps backward. Sometimes it's 2 steps forward and 1 step backward. But personal growth, that's a choice that you have to make. And we are hoping that this is one of the things we'll look at today to deal with. One of the famous African saying is this, is that a good sailor is not made by a calm sea. It has to be choppy and rough. And that is what makes a good and successful sailor. But nevertheless, one of the things we have to observe, and we'll get into this from time to time here, is about the laws of the universe. Before we move on, I just want to establish how I was able to, in a 5 or so years ago, now develop what I call the momentum to mastery formula. I began to study success, but I should point out that for many years in my life, the question I asked was, why are people poor? And therefore, if you ask that question, then you're going to be focusing your mind on poverty, scarcity, and lack. That did not happen to my personal life, but I spent a great deal of time trying to study and to understand that. I have shifted my focus now and begin to realize what you need to do is to study the people who are successful. So I invested in personal growth, considerable investment. I received mentorship from Bob Proctor and the Proctor Gallagher Institute, and I'm applying what I've learned. But I should also add that many of the things which I'm now put together to develop this particular formula and outlet, I was doing it over the years. I was what is called an unconscious competent. That is, I was doing things, I didn't know what I was doing, but I was doing them nevertheless. For example, I found a book, a little book, Live a New Life, when I was about 17, 18, in my final years at Kingston College in Jamaica. I read this book every single day for more than 10 years. In 1977-78, I had my secretary typed out the book. And for some strange reason, I don't recall seeing the book. It's a good thing she did that. So I have it here. I just read and share one of a section here. It's, as I say, it's Live a New Life. And it's a compilation of several different authors, mainly James Allen, but include other people like Disraeli, the Prime Minister then, one of the Prime Ministers of the United Kingdom. And what it says here is this: to live in the past robs the present of its vitality and colors the future with despair. Cast away the devils of regret. But to say I must think of the past, I'm a part of it. True, but use the past. Let it furnish you with the wisdom for the future. Let it assist you through the knowledge it has given you about yourself. Make it a point of departure for the adventure of living now. I just felt I would share that because many times we are inspired, we have intuition. And I was very fortunate to have a grandmother who, one of her main saying was, we are poor, but we are not poor in spirit. To be honest, I didn't understand what she was saying. So I'm going to read something from an excerpt from a book, One Case, by the author is Ken Wilber. And I'll share this. It's connected to this. And it says, let it start right here, right now with us, with you and me, and with our commitment to breathe into infinity until infinity alone is the only statement that the world will recognize. Let a radical realization shine from our faces and roar from our hearts and thunder from our brains. This simple fact, this obvious fact, that you, in the very immediateness of your presence awareness, are in fact the entire world. In all its fuss and fever, in all its glories and its grace, in all its triumphs and its tears, you do not see the sun. You are the sun. You do not hear the rain. You are the rain. You do not feel the earth. You are the earth. And in that simple, clear, unmistakable regard, translation has ceased in all domains, and you have transformed into the very heart of the cosmos itself. And there, right there, very simply, very quietly, it is all undone. We're going to point out, enter into the spirit of life. What does this mean? And I should make a point here. Throughout the ages, theology and inspired persons have outlined certain things. Science, especially over the last 50 years, I would say, or a little more, has evolved and is now explaining many of the things which people had relate to spirit. So the term comes out of our understanding of theology. Notice I didn't say religion, I said theology. All right? Which encompasses different religions and beliefs, as the case may be. So we talk about live the rich and abundant life. You must bring your mind into harmony with the laws that govern your being. Your work, how you spend your days, whether you're a professional or the creator or labor, must be as a service you're rendering, and it must be done in a certain way. This is why your mind must be brought into harmony with the laws of the universe. What are those laws of the universe? The first is there is but one great law. Energy is. Some people say God is. Some people say spirit is. And if you think about it, energy is everywhere. All at once in the same time, same space. So, however you wish to classify. So, all physical and mental science is based on this one great law and what we call the seven subsidiary law, which operate in coordination with each other. We have the law of perpetual transmutation. What that means basically is things change into form. And as if you did science in school, at one stage you say, matter can neither be created nor destroyed. Now it is said that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. But if energy is, it has different forms. Laws of relativity. Everything is relative. What is $1 million? What are you comparing it to? A person who has $1 billion, $1 million is nothing, so to speak. So it's relative. The law of vibration and attraction. Many people talk about the law of attraction, but the law of attraction is a secondary law to the law of vibration. That is, everything in the universe is vibrating. Everything is movement. Nothing is stationary. You may not be able to see it, but because you cannot see it, it does not mean it doesn't exist. If you take an infrared, for example, and you photograph a human being, you'll actually see the vibration leaving the body. It's a law of polarity, positive and negative, everything. Masculine, feminine. Is positive and there's negative. And it depends on your perception. The law of rhythm, up and down. The law of cause and effect, which people call one of the most critical law, is what you sow, you shall reap, in biblical terms. And the final one is called the law of gender, which is everything as a gestation period. We know this about seeds and plants, but we don't apply it to human beings. And the thoughts that we have to take a certain period for germinate. So our thoughts and imagination are the only real limits to our possibilities. So therefore, we must regard our mental creation as spiritual realities and then implicitly trust the law of growth to do the rest. At this time, what I'm going to do is to look at what I call a law, the fulfillment wheel. Which is what? What are your present results? When you look at your finances, Are you satisfied with your finances? Most of us are not. How is your health? If you are as young as I, then you begin to concern. As I say, most people don't concern about their health until they get sick. When that's another thing. How is your business and career? Your job, if you want to put it that way. Do you have a business? Do you have a career? Are you pursuing the things that you want to do? What is the relationship between family and friends? I often say to people that many years ago, I was faced with a very elderly gentleman explaining that his relatives wanted him to come and live with them. This was in Massachusetts. So he went and lived with them. But he said that I think it's his son and his wife is there and children. Early in the morning, they're leaving for work and school. So all day, he's at home. When they come home in the evening, they're tired, they go in their room, the children go in the room and they're gone to bed. He's alone by himself. And every day that simply repeats itself. So eventually he told them that he's returning to Boston, to his friends. And this is his routine. Gets up in the morning, gets in his car, he picks up one friend, and then another, and then another, and about four of them, and eventually they get to the center, they have breakfast, then they may play some dominoes, do whatever they want to do, you know, lunch and everything. And they go through the day with different activities that they may want to do. And in the evening, they go back in his car and the cycle continues. They will stop maybe at a bar or something and refresh themselves. And then he drops off the last person, then they chat for a while, and then he go home and sleep. And he came to the conclusion that, especially as we grow older, friends become more important than family. There's some people who may not agree, but it's something that if you think about it closely, you begin to realize that there's a grain of truth there. Your family mean you well. No question about that, but you didn't choose them. You choose friends. And sometimes families can be difficult. Romance, your intimate relationship. I find from my experience, many people, many of us, let's put it that way, this is like a game of roulette, trial and error. And there's a simple reason why. Most of us are not clear exactly what it is we want. We say we are in love and what have we. But then find after a period of time that this doesn't sustain. The personal growth. Are you stagnating or are you growing? Do you feel happy, satisfied? Some person in personal growth will say that dissatisfaction is a good thing because it means that you are growing. Fun and recreation. Are you relaxing, taking vacation? Live in Florida, for example. I often tell people, how often do you go to the beach? People will leave Florida and they take a vacation on a cruise. And people will spend thousands of dollars coming to Florida for a vacation. So this is something that you want to do. How is your physical environment? Where you live? Are you comfortable? Now, to do all of this comes back to your finances. Do you have the finances? Do you have the money to do this? And so your personal growth starts in a quiet moment when you realize you're better than this. You want, in fact, you desire to grow. To do this, however, you have to have a change in mindset. You have to have a change in how you're thinking. So let's look at the reason why I pointed out the quantum leap and the momentum to mastery. That I'm of the opinion that entrepreneurship is what the modern economy requires. And this is where young people should focus their attention on. Career means that you are an employee, you are working for someone. And if you think that that is how you're going to get wealth, then it means that you are going to join the 98% of people in the world who are barely scraping it, some a little bit better than others. What is an entrepreneur? It's the individual who identifies opportunities in the market, marshal resources, and creates new venture to deliver innovative products or services. This is where we are now. It is not a question of you going out, spending an enormous amount of money on college. I'm a teacher, I used to tell students, if you have to pay to go to university, you shouldn't go. I don't care what course you did. I met a lady yesterday, and she owes over $100,000 of student loan. And she's somewhere in her 40s. So she's gonna pay back that loan almost for the rest of her life. And she is also, as a teacher, is encouraging her daughter to take out loans to go and do a business degree. Now she thinks that that is what is going to allow the daughter to pay off her debt, not the mother's debt, but the daughter's debt that she's going to incur. I tell her I differ. I guarantee the daughter is going to end up possibly just like her. So I just say, what are the key characteristics? Innovative mindset. This is what the present economy needs. Innovation. Willingness to take risks. Strong leadership and decision making. Resilience in the face of setback. Ability to mobilize and manage resources. So you're talking about the circle, both internal, intrinsic, resilience, self-efficiency. That is, you are literally providing service, useful service to others. Just think about it, for example. Many years ago, they talk about industrial revolution, mechanical age. And then I think from in the 80s, there began to be a shift to a service economy. Now, for example, you don't need to have a maid in your house. You can hire someone to come in and cook when you need that to take place. You can have someone looking after your yard. Well, we used to call them gardener in the old days. Now the person simply visits, does what he needs to do for a couple hours, and is gone. No need for him to be there the whole day. So the question I ask you, do you have a written goal? If you do, put yes or no in the chat. This is not for me, it's for you. For being accountable, being able to express these things require courage. We said your personal growth starts in a quiet moment where you realize you are better than this. One of the ways to come up with your goal, and we usually in the business recommend a financial goal. So what is your monthly income? Write that down. What is your yearly income? Multiplied by 12. You don't know, just leave it at monthly. And we're not talking about your take-home pay. We're talking about your income. We ask if you have a goal. Should be change that to, do you have a financial goal? If you do, you write it down. That is what it is that you would like to earn. But if you multiply your monthly income by 4, what would you get? What if your yearly income became your monthly income? Huh? We can show you how to turn your annual income into a monthly income. I recently not met, I didn't actually meet this person, but we talking and picking. Invited her to this meeting, and she said that she don't think it makes sense to come because she's not an entrepreneur yet. Mentioned to her that the very fact that she says she's not an entrepreneur yet means that she has not made a decision to be an entrepreneur. Because you wouldn't say yet. You would say, I am. We are going to explain why that is necessary. All right? So if you make the decision to start the journey, just think about this. If your yearly income was your monthly income, or multiplied by 4, what would you be or have? Just for a moment, use your imagination. What would you be or have? What would your bank account look like? How would you feel? What do you think you would feel if you had no money problem? You could simply get what you want whenever you want. You can have whatever it is. How would you feel? What would you be doing? And people, they're doing the same thing every day. It's like being on a treadmill and going nowhere. Doing the same thing over and over. What would you be doing? What would you be buying? How would you treat friends and family? Where would you go? So if you use your imagination, that is what we were mentioning earlier, is the first stage. Thought is the first stage of creation. Ask, and it shall be given unto you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, the doors of opportunity will be opened unto you. But most persons do not ask. They may pray, but their prayer is not asking for what they want. They use the prayer for something. They ask people what it is they want. Most people don't want to be an entrepreneur. And you may ask yourself the question, how? Wrong question. You don't ask yourself how. The how will come to you. So as one person said, the how is not your business. That is the universe, that is God's business, not yours. What you want to become, that is your business. We're going to take a little time now to look at the mind and what it is that holding us back from. Because within your mind, there's a self-image, which we call your paradigm. Habits, belief about money, which is what we were talking about earlier. What is your belief about money? But if we say, what is the mind? If I ask you, if I say to you, you're a mother, each person have a different image would appear. Unless you are relatives or brothers and sisters or siblings. So the mind, when people say that, they think of the brain, and the brain is not your mind, the fingernail. He stated that the mind, that is Thurman Fleet, 1934, the mind is an activity, not a thing. No one has ever seen the mind. So in order to gain clarity and eliminate, I will create an image that we can work with. And that is the image that he created. A large circle representing the mind, and a small circle representing the body. Mind is in every cell of your body. But this is just an image which we can use to understand and gain awareness as to the process of thinking. And if we put a line through a horizontal line in the large circle, then what we have is the top half represent the conscious mind, the bottom half represent the subconscious mind, and then of course the body. And Bob Proctor pointed out that this is one of the most valuable ideas that we have ever learned. Why is this so? It brought order to the mind. The conscious mind corresponds with the outside world. But we also have an intellect. This is what separates us from the animal kingdom. Animal function of an instinct. If you watch the birds flying, for example, they're not bouncing up into each other. They're all flying in harmony because they're on the same vibration. But the body vibrates. So that's just an idea of two. So if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are the leader, like Quincy Adams. And what we are doing now is getting into some aspect of leadership. So what's an effective leader? Is someone, I notice the word effective leader, has a vision of where they are going and knowing that they will get their people to buy into that vision. But at the same time, you have to be an intelligent follower. You become the best follower that you are capable of becoming. But the person who isn't a good follower is never going to be an effective leader. Someone who is able to follow instruction, but remember what we said earlier. The vision of the leader, the follower must share in that vision. The follower is not hero worshiping the leader. And this is where many people get off the beat. It is the vision of the leader that is the key. I've been in an organization where people mix this up, completely mix it up. The church, for example, strengthens this position about the leader, following the leader with faith, not following the scriptures with faith. So people spend a great deal of time talking about prison Christ. For example, someone recently pointed out that Jesus of Nazareth was not a Christian. He never called himself Christ. He called himself, of course, the son of whatever. No, whatever. Son of God. So we mentioned that about it. What are some of the attributes of a leader? Attitude. What is attitude? Attitude is the composite of your thoughts, your feeling, and your action. Many times people tell a person, oh, you need to change your attitude. But they don't know what that is. Neither they know it. We tell students this and the students continue doing what they do. And that is because of what we talked about earlier on, about that element that is in your subconscious. It is your subconscious mind that determines what you do, not your conscious mind. So leaders create, as we say, an environment that brings out the good in others, which is why the leader is the person others want to follow. Leaders know where they are going. Although they have plans, they do not know how they are going to get there. And this is where many people fall down. They spend a great deal of time talking and thinking about the how. And therefore they do not make any decision. If you have time, I want you to spend a little quiet time thinking of a significant decision that you made in your life and you did not know the how. You did not know how it was going to happen. It's after you have achieved it, you look back and realize what you did. But when you decide, let's ask. The seeking, yes, you're moving into action, but what is going to happen? Ideas, people, and things are going to present themselves to you. So that is why we said they only know that they are going to get there. They're not wishing to get there. They're not hoping to get there. The key word is they know. As an example of a famous restaurateur, they asked him, when did you realize that you'd be a famous restaurateur? He said, when I was sleeping on park benches, when I was homeless, I knew that I was going to be famous. So just a question of time. So you change your plan, but you never change your goal. Vast majority of people, the reason why they don't account because they change the goal. They settle for less. School system encourages this. You must have plan A. You must have plan B. You must have plan C. And you must be realistic. Everyone who has been successful will tell you it's not logic. They did the illogical. So leaders understand that if a person is not prepared to do more than they are being paid for, they will never be paid for more than what they are doing. Therefore, you give of your best. You're working somewhere, you don't try to curry favor. Right? Mentality is transactional. Don't mean you're going to be there and you're working until late without compensation. Management will love you, but they will never promote you. They're not going to promote you. Yes, during the time that you're doing quality work and you're thinking about what you're going to do. So one of the principles of prosperity has to do with what we call masterminding. And this is where quantum leap comes in, where what they call high velocity move that carry you to a higher performance level without time-consuming struggle. Small moves, small things that you may do can have a significant impact. If you watch certain people, they're always busy and they get very little done. Another person works very efficiently. So if you apply this where, for example, and we get into this masterminding, right? The principle will explain what this is. So quantum leap call for bold, intuitive leap. And mastermind groups provide the psychological safety to take them. What we're talking about here. For example, Napoleon Hill, in his mastermind principle, is rooted in the idea that collaboration creates a third man, a higher intelligence that accelerates transformation. We call it brainstorm. But it's a little bit more than that. That is a technique. You can use masterminding in your family if they are for growth and abundance. Other than that, you're wasting time. It may be friends, it may be associates. So together they form what is called a neuropsychological engine for exponential growth. And all of this is things which have been studied in the mind, in the brain side. Now remember, the brain is, you use your brain to think, or your brain don't think. You use it. It's an instrument, mechanical instrument. So masterminding allows for an explosive jump in a personal performance that puts you far beyond the next logical step. As you said, exponential gain. Most people, for example, if you go to school, they spend a great deal of time talking about incremental change. They spend 2 weeks on exponential growth. And I'm a maths teacher, so I know what I'm talking about. When in fact, this exponential is what should be being taught, basically. So what are the core principles? As we say, the coordination and knowledge and effort between two or more people working in harmony towards a definite purpose. What they call synergy of mind. When minds come together, they create a more powerful mind, collective intelligence. For example, people talk about Edison, that's creating the light bulb. But that's not completely true. There's a guy, black guy by the name of Latimer, who invented the filament that allowed the bulb to last. All of Edison's tries couldn't get the filament going. So Latimer was working And he invented. So again, all of these people, they said Sir Hillary went on top of the mountain. Was the first man. That's not true. There was not a gentleman with him. The local man was there. He's the man who lead him up the mountain. So when we look, there are more, this collective thing. Harmony is the key. So the alliance must be built on trust, respect, and shared values. And this comes to a point which I want to make about culture. And I just want to kind of pause. Most of us as what we call people of color, African people, Asian, Chinese, Asian, but mainly the Africans and those of us in the diaspora and the New World experience more than 400 years of physical slavery. Repeat that to me. 400 years of physical slavery and colonization in Africa, in the Caribbean. However, Marcus Garvey said something. Whilst they may free the body, none but yourself can free the mind. 1921. Marcus Garvey was Jamaican. He came to the United States, organized with over 11 million black people, one of the largest organizations in the world. And of course, those of us who understand it, he was in fact jailed, framed. So 600 plus years of mental imprisonment and slavery. Think about it. None but yourself can free your mind. It's popularized by Bob Marley, I think, in the music Redemption Song, which is a combination of Garvey and the speech that Haile Selassie gave to the League of Nations. So harmony is the key, but I mentioned that because I think that culture is also an impediment. We talk about crab in a barrel. Everybody trying to get out, but nobody wants to help anybody else to get out. We're just fighting against each other. Why? Because the 400 years of physical slavery was coupled with divide and conquer. That is, we seldom see cooperation but competition. So the group must be united by a clear and compelling goal. And many people are afraid of forming groups with people. And therein lies, as I said, the challenge, but it's something that can be overcome. So the core ideas of the mastermind principle: mutual benefit, regular meetings, and accountability. We support members, hold each other accountable, and offer emotional and strategic support. I had an experience a couple of years ago trying to form a mastermind group. And the group didn't work out. A couple of years later, somebody tried to form another group of which I was a part. and it didn't work. And one person was speaking to me, and being a person who just observed, I pointed out to him that he had one person in both groups who spent his time undermining the group, literally. And it might appear malicious, but it is, we have individuals who, unless they are leading something, then they can't be a part of it. So lessons, we learn lessons from it. I have mastermind groups, more than one. I have friends who we talk and so forth. So additional principles that we want to take into account. You must know exactly what you want to achieve. Definite that purpose. Without that, it makes no sense. Faith. Believe in your ability and the team power to succeed. I'm telling people nowadays, there are certain words that you should not use. Stop using. I will. No, you're not will not. Do it. You know? I cannot. No, you can. There's nothing in this world stop you from doing what you can. Nothing. Except the will to do it. Once you make the decision, the resources, people, and things will come to you. I won't get into examples of that. I know. Use the word I know. I can. I have. I have the money in the bank. I have the money that I can use to do what I wish to do. Not that I hope to have, because you'll always be in that state of affair. Why do we say this? Is because what? Whatever you think about, you become. Initiative. You have to take action. A positive mental attitude. And the group can help each other to supply this. Teamwork. Essential. But as long as you live, don't ever forget that while you may succeed beyond your fondest hopes and your greatest expectation, you'll never succeed beyond the purpose to which you are willing to surrender. This is the key. That's why we talk about definiteness of purpose. Furthermore, your surrender will not be complete until you have formed the habit of doing the things that failure don't like to do. So this is what it is. And as we often say, faith is based on understanding. And it's the key to freedom. What I want to do now is just quickly go through, for the benefit of those who, in the next few minutes, that we offer, for example, a program called Thinking into Result. And this is over 60 years of research, more than 50, right? And what do we do there? We carry you through the program to help you change the limiting belief and to improve his self-image. Because you cannot outperform the image that you have of yourself. And I'm not talking about the outer image. That's a part of it. We're talking about what you really think about yourself. And this class here, this masterclass, we did this the last time when we look at the self-image. So we deal with the types of goals You have goals that you know you can do. You have goals which, if you get the resources, you think you can do. And there are goals which all you know is that you want to get. You don't know how. Right? So there's certain things you may establish the goal. How? You don't need to know how. How to multiply your effectiveness, you deal with that. Underrated habit that will bring you a bigger payoff than any other. Repetition. You develop what I said earlier on, the habit of doing the things that failures don't like to do. Everything, we are creatures of habit. We form habit and habit form your future. So if you have good habit, fine. And then we teach you the steps for avoiding number one threat, right? And as Earl Nightingale points out, success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. We also have some 8 weeks workshop. Right? If you want more information on this, price and all of those things, you can talk to me. Some people have been having conversation. Presently, we're having a workshop on self-image, right? Going from August, going down to September, still open. And you get a bonus, the winner's image package, which is video, clips, and workbook, which help you out to change that image to get the things that you want. If you're interested, you can take a picture of that, scan it, and then we can have a one-to-one conversation. Like we said, this is the same thing. We can have a discovery call to see how we can help you to achieve the goals that you want. This is the purpose. And so what we try to do today is to give you a kind of snapshot in terms of the leadership aspect and the collaborative aspect, working with people with the same outlook. So all our training is group. That is people with the same outlook. People may be pursuing different specific goals because each goal, if you remember what we said at the beginning, it's individual. You must do it by yourself, but you cannot do it alone. You need guidance. So let's just listen to a few closing remarks by Bob Proctor here.
Well, there you go. Now think of this for a moment. Have you any idea what could happen to you, to your way of thinking in your life over a 6-month period? Now think of this. We invest in everything under the sun. We invest in clothes, we invest in our cars, we invest in our gardens, we invest in our houses. Very few people invest in themselves. You see, the thing I learned as I started to study this book, every dime I spent on me, I would get back tenfold and very, very quickly. If you really want to change your life, don't ask yourself, can you do it? Just like that, make up your mind to do it. If you have to borrow the money from your grandmother to do it, I say that because that's where I used to borrow the money, then borrow it and fix everything in your life. Learn how you can multiply your income. Learn how you can live in a healthier body. Learn how you can have more meaningful relationships. You see, life can be absolutely incredible, but we have to become aware of how to make it that way. You and I have the ability to take one of these things in our hand and write our own ticket. I'm telling you, invest in yourself. It's the best investment in the world. You are God's highest form of creation. If you're stuck, if you're not really making the progress you want to, start. Get involved in what I call exponential growth. Most people are involved in linear growth, if there's any at all. They go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. Exponential growth is when you go from 1 to 2 to 4 to 8 to 16, boom, boom, boom. And it just keeps getting better. We put it together. There's over 50 years of research. There's people all over the world use this. Make sure you're next. Don't ask a person beside you what they think, what they're going to do. What are you going to do? Follow that quiet voice from within. Now listen, when you go to step out and do this, the old paradigm is going to try and hold you back. Just say, get out of here. I'm doing this. I'm growing. Try it. You'll love it.
Yes, for the people, we, at this time, I'm open to any questions that people may have. Um, on what we did today or any other issues that we may have.